Hey, y'all. Welcome to the When We Walk podcast, where this is a podcast where we discuss the questions we all ask as we walk through life. I'm Shireen.
I'm Micah.
Let's chat.
All right. So, Joran is with us.
Yeah. Hey, Joran.
Hey.
This is our last episode of season 4.
Season 4. We've done four
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah. So sad that we're bringing this to a close.
But we have to
Yep.
because we're leaving.
Mm-hmm. And we've already got ideas for next season.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be
So
great.
it's going to be exciting.
So we're coming up on summer, and we want to talk a little bit about summer today. And
Well, it's actually kind of started.
actually, according to the official calendar,
Okay.
it is not.
I knew you were going to do that.
But yeah, summer is basically upon us.
Summer according to the kids' school calendar.
Yes, that's true, which most people operate by some version of that. But before we get into Slowdown Summer, which is what we can talk about today.
Ooh, that's
You like that?
That's what we're going to call it, Slowdown Summer.
I want to hear
I feel like
summer
we need
plans.
background music for that. Okay.
So summer plans. So I know our summer plans, and we'll share those in a second. But Joran, what are your summer plans?
I honestly...
Besides work, we all still have to work.
Yeah.
But hopefully you have something exciting.
I know this is still work, but summer camp,
Yeah, are you going for the whole
love
thing?
summer camp. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I do like video every day. There's like a recap video. And so I get content for that and then like photos and stuff like that. So that's kind of like it's not even a vacation, but I just love camp. So
You love
I think
camp.
it's fun. Yeah. But other than that, I don't think I really have like anything crazy planned because we just went to Maui.
I was going to say, y'all
Yeah.
just got back
a couple
from
months ago.
Hawaii.
So I'm
Maui.
like, that was
Yeah.
probably
Swimming
my
with whales,
summer.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, here's the thing. Everyone here loves summer camp.
I do too. I
You
mean,
do too.
I grew
Okay.
up on it.
You did. I did not
love
grow
it.
up with it. I only went a couple of times when you were asked to speak there, and I always was running around chasing our kids, and it was not fun for me. So I don't
love it.
have this love of summer camp
it's
that
the best.
everyone here has, but I have multiple people who always say that is their week vacation. They love it so much.
So what you're saying, beyond the kids, I mean, the kids love it, but the students
Yeah,
love it.
no,
But
the
you're saying
adults.
the adults, yeah.
Yeah, you love it. You grew up going and loved it.
Yeah.
And you want to go back as that is the joy of your summer to
Yeah.
go back. I love that.
I think maybe it's like because I grew up going to it, like I had that experience and then
Yeah.
I get to like not relive it, but like, I don't know, it's like you get memories from that, but then you're on the other side. Like you don't have to do the gross games. Like you
Yeah.
can sleep in like maybe a
know.
little nicer
It's the
cabin.
best.
Like, you know, you get like
Honestly.
it's like glamping almost
Yeah.
as a camper. Yeah.
Oh,
It's kind of like the way I've heard people talk about being a grandparent. Is you get to
Okay.
like enjoy all the good parts, but then you get to hand off the not as enjoyable parts. Like that's what enjoying summer camp as
Yeah.
an adult is.
that is hilarious.
It really is. Like I grew up on summer camp too, going way back to my Georgia days, and it was.
Yeah.
I love it. Like our executive team now, 4 of us all grew up on summer camp, so we may go for a night this
Oh, my
year just to
goodness.
go and spend the night and hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Summer camp for adults.
Yeah.
Turns
It's great.
out.
It's a good week to look forward to.
Also, this could be a plug if they still need, which I'm sure
No.
they always do, need
I think we're at
volunteers.
Yes.
Oh, volunteers.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think they're at capacity for kids, but I'm sure they will always take volunteers. So if you are an adult out there and want to relive in more of a glorified way your camp days, hey, they'll take you.
Do it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So that's Joran's.
Yeah, it's great.
What am I looking forward to?
Yeah.
Is that the
or like
question?
our summer plans.
Our summer plans. Well, we're leaving on sabbatical. We already got back from a really great trip. It was more of a ministry trip in San Francisco, but we
Yep.
got to put in some fun, which was really fun. I always
Your
love
love language.
I know. I love travel. I
Fun
love
in another city.
big cities and, exploring, food, all of it. But sabbatical is different for us. And so I'm looking forward to, last year was, I don't want to call it a complete bust, but it was not.
It was not what we intended it to be.
It was not restful
Right.
by any means.
No.
But so I'm looking forward very much more so to this one because we know the rhythm of going down to Florida. We have some friends down there we love to reconnect with. We love, you and I, we've just realized we're beach people. We tried a lake last year. We've done mountains. We can do those in small spurts.
Yep.
we are beach people.
We are.
We can sit. I mean, I can sit on the beach.
It doesn't get old to me.
Literally all day. As long as there's like a covering.
Yes.
So you can get in the shade when
We
you
are
need
at that
to.
age where we want to sit under
we need to
something
sit
the whole
under.
time.
Yeah. But taking the walks on the beach, I don't actually get in the ocean, but you know, it's pretty from afar.
Oh man, I love it. It's
Yeah.
great.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to the same thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's gonna be a good month away, which kind of leads us to what I wanted us to chat about today, which is slow down summer.
Yeah.
How to like really take advantage of this season in the year, which even if you don't have kids in school and things like that, it just tends to be, because the weather's great, tends to be a different type of season than the other three for a lot of people, out of their normal rhythms, opportunities to maybe take on some new rhythms. And I think oftentimes we stumble into summer and then just kind of make our way through it with whatever free time is given to us. We tend to just pack it in with all kinds of other things. And then
agree.
as normal life begins to kick in August, we're often not as maybe refreshed as we hoped to be. Maybe we had some fun along the way, but we're often not quite as refreshed as we want to be. And I just think this, maybe more broadly, I would say it this way. I think our culture right now longs for a slower pace.
Yeah.
I think like deep inside,
Deeper, yeah.
we want a slower pace. And summer is an opportunity to capture that. That's probably the best way to say it. So we've learned some things along the way of how to do summers well and how to not do summers well.
Yeah. I think summer can sometimes feel like, because it's so nice, at least if you live in an area where, like we do, where winter is so, like you stay inside, it's so, cold and confining. You get to spring, you get to summer, and you do just fill your days with things. And I think we think it's our tiny span that we have to fill it with all the outdoor fun, extra activities that we can do. And instead, I think we need to think about that a little bit differently, because you're right. I think we think of it as we have to fill it because it's our opportunity. It's warm.
Yep.
Let's do all the things we haven't been doing for months.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
So in the planning of our summers, I think it's important to maybe distinguish between one of the things you and I learned early on, the difference between like a restful time away versus a family vacation.
Yeah.
Like those are kind of two different things. Like we have the opportunity to take sabbatical each summer. And there has been times where that's been slow and restful, and there's been times where it's just felt like an extended family vacation. So I think it's in the way that we talk about our summers, a lot of times our go-to is let's fill our summer with fun. Let's fill it with family time. Let's go to a theme park. Let's go to a city. Let's, go to the beach, whatever. And a lot of times when we just kind of roll into that, it becomes a family vacation that honestly can be more exhausting than restful. It can be fun, which is great. Right. But I think what I'd love for us to talk a little bit more about is actually an intentional using, how to intentionally use our summers to just like gear down a little bit, at least for some period of the summer. That makes sense. Yeah. So it was some study that I read that you achieve maximum rest in a vacation after 7 days. There's no more there's no more rest you would gain beyond 7 days. And it takes you about 7 days to get to maximum rest. Okay. This was some like Swedish study that was in Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, one of the most read books, I think, in the last, 10 years, by John Mark Comer. Great book. And so it talks about the idea that you can achieve maximum rest in a week. Okay. But the problem is we often don't know how to use maximum. We don't know how to use that week in a way to get rest. You know what I mean? So what are some things you would say we've learned along the way to really slow down or be intentional about being restful during our summers?
Well, I think first, just having a regular practice of Sabbath is important, right? Like I think you can't understand fully how to enter into a restful mindset for a span if you've never done it even just a day in your life. That's my thought. I could be wrong.
Yep.
I think us learning the rhythm of Sabbath in every week and realizing that this day is different from the rest of the other days is helpful, because then I think you can look at whatever span of vacation time or time off or weekend retreat, whatever you want it to be. For us, it is an extended sabbatical a month. I think you then have a different mindset of how you approach it.
Yeah.
So I think the starting point is just knowing Sabbath and understanding what God's design for Sabbath is. The way we see it is rest, worship, and delight, that it looks completely different from the other days of the week. And I think a sabbatical or even a restful type, getaway, vacation, weekend, retreat, whatever, should look uniquely different from like what you said, like a fun vacation. Those can bring joy, and I don't know if they bring full rest, but they can revive you in some ways. But sometimes you can come back from those and feel just as exhausted and not ready to get back in. But I think a rhythm and mindset of knowing how to practice entering into rest is important, because I don't think we do that very well.
Yeah, that's true.
Naturally.
And to do it well, it doesn't mean you just have to shut everything down. Doesn't mean you just sit on a couch for all day, every day,
No, because most people can't do that.
No.
If you have family, if you have kids, if you have a life. Yeah.
So what are ways that we have learned, that you've learned, like to infuse? I like that idea of going into some part of your summer, if you get a week off or something like that, with rest, worship, and delight. What are ways that we feel like we've figured out how to do that?
I think for us, we like consistency. We know we like that. We learned that because last year was not that.
Yeah.
Last year was a bust.
But you know what's interesting is you are learning that you like consistency for our summer break. Because early on, when we first discovered this little house in Florida, I was like, I could do this every year. And you were like,
I didn't want to.
I can't do this every, I love it this year.
Because for me, it was like, if that's our vacation, if that's our one opportunity, we got to change it up. I need to see new places. But now that we're at a place where we we have little opportunities to go other places throughout the year, sabbatical for us can feel like, let's be consistent there, because now we know we can enter rest in this place. Like there is a rhythm to entering into rest that our minds and bodies kind of need.
Yes.
And I think that's why I think Sabbath is part of that. Like that's why, Jewish tradition, there was a way to enter into Sabbath, right? That you lit a candle, you said a prayer, you had a meal together, that it signified we're starting a day that looks different.
Yep.
And I think for us, the consistency for me of going to Florida, going to this house, we've made rhythms of our morning. We get up, we spend time with the Lord early. You and I would go walk down, do a workout. We'd come back, our kids would be up, we'd make breakfast. We'd either do a pool day, we'd do an adventure, we'd do the beach. And that became our rhythm for these last couple of years we've done sabbatical. And now I realize that is what my body and mind are trained to realize is restful.
Yes.
Because when we go somewhere new, it's like we're trying to gain our bearings, and you barely get a moment to settle in if you go somewhere new and then find a rhythm to gain that rest. So even I'm thinking about it like what you said, this whole 7-day thing. I'm still not quite sure about it, but someone found it. It's real. I don't know.
You're not sure you believe it.
But I think if you, people who have a lake house, who love the lake, and for them, they're like, I can't wait to get out to my lake house, because they know what that rhythm does for their heart and their mind. They've already set it. So for them, going to their lake house, and if they spend a 7-day span, they can probably, if that's you can probably find a rhythm that gets you to that place by day 7 where you're like, I'm so rested and rejuvenated, because you know how to settle in. You feel comfortable. You feel safe. It's an environment your body, mind already knows, so you can settle in and feel safe.
Yeah.
Versus a new environment, a new city, it might take a little longer to mentally, physically kind of settle in to gain that rest.
Yeah. And I actually think that's something that everyone can develop if they want to, which is a consistent place that serves the purpose of rest, worship, and delight for a part of their summer. Whether that's like we go to the same little vacation spot every year, or we've got a friend with a spot that we borrow, or whatever. You
Or
find
grandparents'
an Airbnb,
house, wherever that is for you.
Yeah. Because there is something about that consistency. Someone I was talking to recently, a psychologist I had lunch with recently, she talked about how our parasympathetic system and our sympathetic system can't operate at the same time. So like if you're in like fight or flight mode, you can't also be in rest and peace mode.
Right. That makes sense.
Physiologically, your brain can't do both of those things at the same time. And so when you go to a new vacation spot, it's not fight or flight in terms of like survival, but you're on because you're trying to figure everything out. Where are we going to get groceries, and where do we settle in, and where are we going to eat, and how does this housework and all of those types of things.
Unless you're a planner and you've already looked all these things up beforehand.
But still like being
Like
on
me.
the ground, you're still
once you
having
get
to
there.
like,
For sure.
but if you go somewhere consistently, it's more that rest and peace part of your brain that can just begin to kick
settle in.
immediately.
I think it's the same concept of like when we kind of coach people to say, where do you do your time with the Lord? Where is your God time, your quiet time space? Because when you get there, your brain and body are trained to settle in. This is where I spend time with God.
Yep.
And I can settle in there pretty quickly and easily. Like for you, it's your chair with your candle, and you can settle right in. And it's the same idea, because I think our brains are wired for a little bit of consistency to be able to relax and let that place of like rest and delight and dopamine to, whatever.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
I think consistency could be helpful.
That's a good one. I would add to that, like have some intentional practices while you're there. I think when it comes to our spiritual practices and our daily rhythms, when we go on vacation of some sort, just all humans, I think, are this way. Like there's two ditches you can fall into. One is like, I'm throwing off all restraint. Like I'm just gonna eat,
It's vacation.
eat, drink, be merry. Yeah, I'm gonna indulge.
Calories don't count.
I always say, Disney, for as fun as it is pure punishment on your body.
It really is.
Because you are up early.
Man, it fills
you're
your
up
cup
late,
or my cup.
I mean, you're walking like crazy, and then you're fueling your body with just grease and sugar. But it's not the.
No, it's not true.
There's
a lot of joy.
Rest. There's lots of, that's right. It's
and
different.
delight.
It's family vacation versus something kind of slow down and restful. But I do think also on one hand, it's the people who just like throw off all restraint and it's just pure indulge. And oftentimes you come back from a trip like that and you're like, man, I don't like my soul doesn't feel any better. My body surely doesn't feel any better. And now I'm like right back in my normal rhythm, feeling kind of exhausted.
I use my vacation days and I spend a ton of money.
Yeah. But then the other side of it, and this is what I can fall into, I can do both of these in different ways, but I can fall into is like we've got a week or for us, we've got a month. Like I'm going to take this huge stack of books and I'm going to get up early and I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to do this and that and the other. And then you
you set your expectations really high.
You kind of overpromise yourself like what this is going to look like for you. I'm going to lose 10 pounds because I'm going to eat clean and I'm going to walk every day or run or whatever. And then you kind of either feel the pressure of keeping up with that while you're there, or on the back end of it, you're like, man, I failed, which also isn't fun. So my encouragement would be before you get away to just pray and consider and talk to the people that you're going away with. Like, what are some unique rhythms that I could take on for this period of time? What's something different I could do? Not trying to expand on what I always do, but also not just throwing it out the window.
Yeah.
And so having kind of a reasonable, like, I'm going to pray at this time of day, or I'm going to read this portion of scripture while I'm away.
Or maybe if you're with your family, you do something as a family.
Yep.
Like you start your morning together. We're going to do breakfast and even reading a book together or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to always be directly, especially with family, but maybe you have your personal time and then you pull people together.
Yeah.
Just rhythms is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah. So find some new rhythms. I think body, soul, and spirit, finding some just intentional rhythms for that week. What are some spiritual disciplines you want to do? Maybe what are some physical things that you want to be smart about? And then soul, just how are you going to just gear down, connect with other people, enjoy the environment that you're in, but just being intentional about it, I think is really important. And so, we talk a lot about Life Trellis here, just kind of having a set of rhythms, practices that guide and lead our lives that the Spirit uses to grow His fruit in our lives. And I think having a little vacation life trellis. It's hard to do that, again, on a family vacation, but for kind of a slow down season, I think it's a really cool thing to do.
I think it's doable even on a family vacation.
Yeah,
I think you have, I mean, our kids come with us on sabbatical. We've had to learn to still do these rhythms. I mean, we did it when our kids were little. We still had to learn these rhythms on sabbatical with our kids.
Yep.
And I think kids can do it. We just have to set an expectation for them. I think little kids can. I think bigger kids can. And you have to set expectations. If you're hearing this and you want your, maybe even just a portion of your summer vacation to feel more restful, more like sabbatical, like Sabbath, like, I think you can restructure and help everyone understand the expectation going into that trip, And I think you have to balance that, especially if you have a family with little kids and with expectation of what that trip is. And I think both can be present. There can be that delight and the joy of like the exploration, the fun days, the adventure, balanced with, but mom and dad are really needing a little season of respite, of rest. How can we infuse that into this trip that we already have planned?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking a lot of people probably already have their vacations planned by this point.
Yeah.
By the time you're listening to this, you probably have your vacation plan and you're going, oh my gosh, I wish I could do this. And I think you can. You just have to readjust.
Yeah.
Mindset, and then maybe set parameters around kind of some things in each day of what your vacation looks like.
Yeah.
If you have a 7-day vacation, what are the practices that you can make some adjustments? Not every day has to be a sun up, sundown, wild adventure, is my thought.
Yeah, it's a great thought. So, Jordan, you got a thought?
Yeah, I had a question. For those who are maybe in the boat where they're like, I can't afford to take a vacation every year, or they can't just take 7 days away from either work or their life. Do you have any advice for how they can break their routine just maybe at home, like a staycation, or just while they are still working? Like, is there like little spots they can find a vacation?
100%. Yeah. Staycations.
Yeah.
Those are great. Because part of what we're really getting at is, not everyone can do lavish vacations and big family trips. What we're talking about is accessible to everybody, because it's more about the expectation of why you're doing it than it is about the perfect location or so what I would say
it's intentionality.
Yep. Staycation. Like, so think into your summer of like, what is there a block of days that I can smash together and pull away from my normal rhythms, or
a long weekend, maybe.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
It's like
we have Labor Day coming
tack
up.
On, So you tack on a day or two of PTO onto already long weekend or something. Kind of take advantage of the calendar in that way, because there is something about it's got to be more than like a day or two. Yeah, I mean, I said 7 days is like kind of optimal rest. But
like a weekend, you can use it.
Even if
take one of your weekends and be intentional.
Yeah. Even if you do 5, you take what's already a long weekend, you add a couple days onto it, and then just take these same principles to the staycation mode. There's been times, I know Pastor Les, there was a season where there was one summer where he and Chris weren't able to get away. So they did a couple things to make their house feel different. Yeah. They bought a kiddie pool.
Oh, I remember.
You remember?
Them
and
saying
they put their feet in the kiddie pool. Yeah. They would they would intentionally go and sit out on the back deck with their feet in the pool.
Like they changed their rhythms for that season to make their home and their minds feel more rested.
Right. Yeah. So I think there are creative ways to say, Like I just was talking to someone yesterday who was like, okay, we finally, a young family, we finally made our backyard feel kind of sanctuary-ish. And so the summer I can like get away and just be in my backyard. So I think there are ways to say, how can I change my environment even if my location doesn't change? That's the question I would ask, because there's something about a change of environment.
Right.
My counselors taught me this. Like there's a reset that happens, and we can get into a different environment, even if it's not the same, even if it is the same location.
I would even say, like, maybe you can't get away, but you have some friends who are leaving, and you say, hey, can I house sit for you? Especially if you're single, can I house sit for you? And I'm going to use that time
That's
away
a great thought, yeah.
to change up my rhythms and use it as a sabbatical like time, but I'm also helping a friend out and I get kind of a free little getaway. Or you know, if you can't leave town, maybe you can get a hotel for a couple of nights and you get to see your city from a different place, like get a hotel in a different part of the city. I think there are ways to still do staycations, whether it's in your home and you readjust your rhythms, whether it's family or single, or you kind of, you know, get to a different location within the city, find an Airbnb, you know, get a hotel for a couple nights and like change your rhythms, change your perspective on the city and do things as a tourist. I've heard people say, you know, become a tourist in your city. You'll see things differently. You'll change your rhythms.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that will help too. I also, as we're talking, think when we hear everyone talk about vacations, one of the common threads is almost everyone really is most restored when they're outside. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Whether it's you want to go to Disney as your vacation, you are still enjoying the outdoors. Or you love the mountains and you know you love biking in the mountains or kayaking in a lake or boating or sitting on a beach. Or taking a walk wherever you are, exploring a new city. Even, us walking through San Francisco, you know, you're in a city environment, but you're outdoors and there's still beauty in architecture and taking the things around you in. And so I think part of, I've always thought this just for Sabbath, but even adding in sabbatical of like a rhythm of being outside.
Yeah.
And finding some sort of rhythm of being outdoors is really helpful to entering into rest. You can do that anywhere. Yeah.
And then related to that is screen time.
Oh man, that's a big
If you adjust your screen time, you adjust your world.
You really do. Digital
your environment
break.
will change mentally.
Yep.
If you choose to say, I'm going to interact with my screen differently for X number of days. And even if you're in the same location, in the same setting.
If you just did that for most of us, that would make a huge difference.
It change your world, change what you think about and where your mind goes. And
if you add in maybe new ways to connect with God, like new intentional ways to connect with God, some nature and more structured screen parameters or a digital detox kind of thing, I think you would feel more Sabbath-like no matter what your setting is, whether you leave town, leave your house or not. I think just mindset, nature, you know, intentional rhythms with the Lord and scripture and prayer and worship, and then a digital kind of detox fast parameters, boundaries will for sure set you up for a Sabbath-like or sabbatical-like season.
Yeah, I think so. So one question, now that we've kind of laid all this out for you, Joran, can I ask you a question? Is how does all this sound? I'm curious how this sounds to you. Does this sound like, oh my God, this sounds like a boring summer, or this sounds impossible, or just given your life and kind of your friend world, how does all of this kind of talk hit you?
No, I think it's great. I agree that I feel like for me after 7 days, I just get restless. Like the rest just doesn't even, I don't know, hit me anymore. So I feel like 7 days would be my max of like, I do love going on vacation or like going to the beach or something. And
How long was Hawaii for y'all?
It was 2 weeks.
Okay.
Ooh,
So how did that feel?
Yeah, because that is sabbatical like for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was good. Like, I feel like we did enough. It was like a good mixture of rest and like going out and doing like activities. So I don't know. I feel like I wasn't restless at that point because like we kind of switched it up every other day.
Yeah.
Like I feel like maybe it's just like 7 days in a row where I'm like, okay,
If it's the same
What are we
thing.
doing?
I can, I want to go home now, even though it's like really fun. Like we went to Arizona like 2 summers ago, and it was supposed to be maybe like 3 weeks. And I ended up coming home early because I got like a job opportunity and stuff. But I could have stayed, but I was like, I'd rather just go make money right now. I don't know. Like I feel it's fun and everything, but I miss my friends. So
Yeah.
I do feel like if it is like, because in Arizona, it wasn't as like, we weren't doing excursions or anything. It was more just like rest. So I think, I don't know. I'm weird about like just too much nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to learn these kind of things. That's really good. You're learning that rhythm of what it is that gets you to a state of rest, and then where you're kind of like, oh, I'm good. Like I'm refreshed. I'm ready to go back into the things that God's called me to.
Yeah. And we found, I mean, similar to that, we found as a family, even when we're trying to go as slow as we can, again, that's not meaning we don't do anything.
Right.
Like every day
Definitely
we've
not.
got
We have kids who need to do something.
Yeah. But and so every day we've got something planned.
Right.
And I think what that does, even beyond what's planned that day. So for instance, say, hey, we're going to go to the beach, right before lunchtime. We're going to pack up our lunches. We're going to head there. We're going to eat lunch on the beach, and then we're going to stay till whatever time. We can stay forever, but our kids
cannot. They need activity.
Yeah. And so, if they just know that's what we're doing, it gives space in the morning to not feel so antsy because like, hey, something's coming.
We're doing
and
an
then
activity.
on the back end, you're kind of just resting and, taking it easy because you've just had some fun together. So we're not saying like, just do nothing for a week. You do need to have some stuff. Like you said, get outside, enjoy each other, enjoy nature.
We still need adventure and things that bring us delight. That's the whole point. If it's rest, worship, and delight, we need all those elements.
Yeah.
Even in a vacation, if you want it to feel sabbatical-like. I do think it's important to speak to, because I always think about this, parents who are listening, who are like, none of my vacations will ever be this.
Yeah.
And I would say, I think it is possible if you change some of the expectations for everyone.
Yep.
Everyone has to be on board for this. If you have littles, you just make them get on board. This is what we're doing.
They don't know any different.
They don't know. They're just going to follow your plan. And actually, your kids don't need to be entertained all the time. You can set a routine for them, whether it's on your vacation or even just in your home for the summer, and say, I used to have to do this for us. Like, mom needs the morning. Y'all are not, we need still structure. And mom needs the morning, when I was home with kids to, sit with the Lord, but then also do some of my things. Y'all are quietly playing, this is quiet playtime or reading time or whatever. And then we'd sit and do something together. And then we get to leave and go on an adventure. And your family vacation, if you feel like you need it to be sabbatical-like, can be similar. If you and your spouse are on the same page with that and you set some intentional rhythms for the vacation, even if you're with extended family, grandparents or other families that you vacation with, you can set some of your own rhythms to make it feel restful. You don't have to make every single day from sun up to sundown on vacation dream life for your kids.
No, you don't.
You can find rhythms of rest, taking a walk in the morning, taking turns every morning. Someone gets to go out, someone stays home and, with the little kids who get up early and fix them breakfast and whatever. And I think there are ways to do vacation that doesn't feel like that. If you want it to be Sabbath-like, it's doable.
Yeah. I think so.
It's
like
possible.
even like the way when our kids got to a point where we'd say, hey, we're going to the beach. And after they've been to the beach X number of times, they're like, okay, we're kind of done with that.
Yeah.
But still, like we'd still go and we'd eat our lunch. And because kids just know how to play, they'll
figure
find
something out.
something to do.
Yeah, they don't need a screen all the time.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, you made up a whole new game or you found a whole new way of, hanging out together. And that's kind of fun to see as a parent. So let your kids get a little bored, figure things out. And so my encouragement would be try it this summer. Like try something.
Try something that sets rhythms to help you slow down.
Yeah.
Whether it's vacation or even just in your regular.
Yeah. And then evaluate. And like, as you mentioned, last summer we tried something new. It didn't work very well.
It was not a good rhythm
so
of rest
now we
for
know
us.
that, that doesn't work as well for us. And so try and get better each year or each time you get to take a breather and learn
like Jordan said, learn your rhythm. Where do you hit? You're like, I feel rested, and that's okay. Like end it there, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. It's great.
It's good.
Awesome. Well, hopefully y'all have an amazing summer. It's a great time of year to do all the things we just talked about. And thanks for being with us on season 4 of When We Walk. It's been fun to be together.
Yes.
We can't wait to get back on the train next fall-ish when we get going again. But we hope everyone has an awesome summer. Thanks for being with us.
See you next season.